Good morning. Welcome to Saturday Morning Coffee and Happy New Year. Welcome back. It's been a long hiatus, but I'm enjoying my coffee on this Saturday. And I think Tiffany is here. Tiffany, are you here today? Happy New Year, Tiffany.
Maybe have to push your glasses up. Hey, Happy New Year. I
Uh,
cannot believe we're in the
Happy
new
New Year.
year.
I know it's been forever since I've seen you. So I hope you had a great holiday season and enjoyed yourself. And it's always good to be back in the saddle for Saturday morning coffee, and because there's always a great conversation. Um, Again, I have to give a shout out to Good Brothers Cafe, drinking my fifth acres. You can order it online. I think it's on our website. Uh, I tell you, it's the best stuff in town. Drink it all the way through the holidays. I am good to go. So, Tiffany, is it just you and I today, or is it
Oh
just
my
you and I
goodness.
today?
We have to ring in the new year the best way we possibly can. I have Rick Boone, who is a wonderful and most amazing youth he helps with youth and mental health awareness, and so him and his wife, correct, went in together and developed a really wonderful program to help support youth athletes. So I don't want to take the thunder from him, but look at that background. I just have to take another second. Like, why are we not like leveling up here with our backgrounds?
I know, right? He's making us look really silly here. I mean, I really got to up my game now. I mean, holy cow! I was gonna steal your thunder, but man, you brought the heat, brother. And good morning, Rick. Welcome to Saturday Morning Coffee.
Good
How are you
Morning,
doing?
guys. I'm doing fantastic. Thank you guys for
Wonderful,
having me on this morning.
wonderful. Thank you. And I hope you had a wonderful holiday season, and uh, and everything's going wonderful for you.
Yeah,
So I am not going to steal your thunder. I know you and I have talked several times, and this is a really hot item that's going on all across United States, other countries. I don't think you're the first of the kind. Um, that I've actually come across. I've had many conversations with a lot of people drinking coffee, and in various places across the world. But when you and I originally spoke, what you and Heather are doing it resonated to my mind, and I was like, oh my gosh, God is talking to me, the universe is talking to me, and I was like, we'd be doing everybody a disservice that has children, that has coworkers, that has family, that have friends, to not have you on Saturday morning coffee to share what you and Heather are doing, because you guys uh, are doing something absolutely amazing. And so I'm not going to steal your thunder, but go ahead and I'm going to let you dive in. I'll interrupt every now and again.
yeah, I appreciate that. So thank you guys again for having me on. This is a great way to start the new year. And my wife and I co-founded Transcendent Coaching about 4 years ago because we recognized there was a need for this, because that was our kids. Our kids were those kids that struggled mentally, competing in sports and never really finding that self-belief and that understanding their self-image enough to let everybody see how great they really were. And for me, it really culminated in was January of 2019, watching my son wrestle at a tournament up in Grove City here in Pennsylvania. And he was ranked pretty good at that time. He was competing against some of the best kids in the state club and putting in the work outside of the club to grow into the athlete he really is. And, I've watched him get to the semifinals and always choke, and just never believed in himself enough to see him crossing that gap to get to that next level. He didn't have the self-confidence, which led to not enough mental toughness and resiliency and all those it factors that help him really excel. And, as a dad, my big thing was, hey, how did we do? Did we give a best effort? Did we have a great attitude? And what did we learn at the end of it? And so we were unpacking at the end of the tournament, And I got one of those questions as he's sitting on the ground looking up at me. He's like, Dad, did I do okay? And I was like, whoa, like all the red flags flew up for me. I was like, Houston, we got a big problem. Because this was a kid that a couple years before, even if he was getting his butt kicked out there, was smiling and having fun. And somewhere along the line, he just turned into a kid that just melted down. And like a lot of other parents out there, I came to find out is we all thought getting him to the best clubs, the best skill coaches, the best strength coaches was going to be enough to overcome that. You hear it all the time. Well, they'll just flip that switch. It doesn't happen. Or if it does, it's very seldom. So it led me to a journey to try and understand how I could help my son. So we started doing some personal growth on ourselves because we had to lead the way for him. We had to set the bar so he could see us doing it for him. So we started studying with Bob Proctor, and that led me to another lady that ultimately helped my son with some NLP skills, neurolinguistic programming, and some hypnosis, where she took him down and did some guided visualizations with him so he could unlock that piece that was kind of stuck down underneath of all the backpack of expectations, if you will. All the negative emotions we pick up, all the bad programming we pick up from y'all, you're not good enough, you're not big enough, you were bullied, all that BS. And we carry all that with us, and everybody on here can relate to that because at some point or other, we've all picked that up. And that's how our kids got it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, the lady that helped my son out, Larissa McCouth, is up in Toronto, Canada, in Ontario. And she, in a matter of just 3 weeks, blew his stuff out where he went on a run in February of 2020. He pinned his way through the local WPIAL tournament here at Double A, went on to be third in the region and ultimately eighth in the state at 195 pounds at Double A, which is a huge accomplishment. Wrestling in Pennsylvania is one of the biggest sports here, and PA is known for that. So for him to actually just let everything kind of come out at that point was amazing, and it's giving me goosebumps here just remembering that. So that's, as a parent, you love to see him just get back to being themselves, because when they're carrying all that weight on their shoulders, it's a totally different kid. And when they can blossom like that and just let it all come back out and get back to remembering why they compete to begin with, then they're able to overcome everything else that comes up. And that just propels them through the rest of their life because now they know how to overcome it. And that's why we got into it. So we went and did the neurolinguistic programming. We are certified as a institute that's actually valid in over 42 countries around the world. And the hypnosis is the same way. We're an institute head for the hypnosis as well. So we can bring all these skills down to kids as quickly as possible, giving them the same skills that the athletes in the Olympics are getting. And you all know how much, we've heard it over and over, how much the athletes work on it in the Olympics. It's all about mindset, right? This, the past year time here in Tokyo, you saw it with Simone Biles and a couple of the other athletes out there that actually pulled out of events because they couldn't get their mindset where they needed it to. So if we're seeing it with the professionals, surely we're seeing it with the younger kids, and more often with them because they're not doing the work. So they need it more than anything else. And that's what we're just focusing on, giving them everything we can to set them up to live the life that they're meant to live.
Yeah, and I commend you on that, Rick, and excuse me, and your wife Heather. And I mean, you guys believe in this so much that you guys both left your full-time jobs to start this organization. And I just want to tell people out there at PSA, the conviction to actually leave your full-time employment to trust God, to believe in something, to help other youth kids that are dealing with mental health issues, mental stress, is absolutely phenomenal. And like I said earlier on in the show, I was like, this is the first I've ever heard of anybody talking about the stress that is put on youth. I coach Pee Wee football, high school, and through, and it's all about win, win, win at all costs.
Yeah.
But we're not dealing what is it doing to the child mentally? And what you guys are doing is absolutely phenomenal.
Thank you. And you're right there, because a lot of the focus is win at all costs. Even when you know your son's going to college here to play lacrosse, and when they get there, the atmosphere changes. And if they're not set up for success with the pieces around them and knowing how to handle it and who to talk to and who to go to, they end up kind of getting just shoved aside because it's become a money-making machine, especially at the college level. Not all the sports, but a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, there are help there for them. They have, you know, the psychology, the sports psychologist programs at some of the bigger colleges. But when we give the kids these skills, and that's all they are, is just teaching them how to work the skill and how to sharpen the axe so they know how to go out and do it. It's so rewarding because you watch them just literally taking it and run. Kids that have ADHD making honor roll, getting the best report cards that they've ever gotten, and understanding how to focus their mind on the process and not worrying about the outcome. Because when you give that best effort with a great attitude, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be able to stand there with your head high at the end of that game.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's what it comes down to. And that's how you learn. That's how you take that next step and you keep getting better.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you watch the NCAAs last year for wrestling, you saw Keyshawn Clark at, I think it was 139 pounds or 141 maybe, from North Carolina, University of UNC. Keyshawn didn't start wrestling until high school. His work ethic and his desire just to get better every day led him to have that accomplishment and be in that position in the finals. And, you know, he's going to law school. That's why he transferred to UNC from American University. But his is a great story of just focusing on the process and getting better every day. And when that becomes the focus for the athletes and the kids in high school and in youth all the way up through, now they're not worried about, hey, do I need to go to this private school to be the best I can? What's the pressure that's putting on them? Because then they're just focused on the athletics. Okay, well, what do you do when you're done with the athletics? What skills do you bring to that next level, that next piece? It's giving these kids a real container for their life to go out and blossom and just have everything they need and see that it isn't within inside them. It's just us helping them see it.
Yes, and that's great too. And as I'm sitting here thinking, you know, as a parent, and we all want our parents to be, we all want our kids to be that kid, you know, running the ball, scoring the winning goal. You know, I played collegiate football. You know, I know the blocks that I had. So I wish I would have had something like this as a child to help me dealing with things that I couldn't control on the field. And that's really what you guys are doing is helping people understanding those roadblocks. And I'm not saying this is bad for parents, but there are some parents that, you know, success, to be number one to their children, and they're jumping that mindset piece.
Yes.
And if you don't have all the key elements, we're going to run into a wall. And you know, and mental health is, you know, it does not discriminate at any age, from six to whatever it may be. You know, we've had some great guests on here. I want to bring up Leslie's Hope, Leslie Weinrich. Her son played at Wabash, which is predominantly known for producing CEOs and presidents, you know, but the pressure of the mental health aspect of it was not seen. And unfortunately, he was called, he, took his life. And I want to talk to, and then also not just him, but also it took his best friend's life, Chuck Hansen's son, as well too, because of the mental health pressure that was put on them to be successful, and we don't know if it would have changed if it was something that was caught earlier on in life. God, we don't understand those pieces of the puzzle until they fit. But if we can start it, and what you and Heather are doing now, and with your organization is starting it at such an early age, maybe we can prevent more sadness down the road.
That's a lot of our hope. Unfortunately, like last year, we were helping a young man here locally, and one of his friends at ninth grade, unfortunately, couldn't handle the pressure just socially. And it wasn't even like just with the sports side, but just socially because of the iPhones, Facebook, the body shaming, and all that stuff that goes on for these kids right now. It's amplified because everything is literally right here, right there. And yeah, the screen background got it there a little bit, but it's on that phone, and they have it 24/7, and they see it all. And it's a different world. It really is from when we played. Yeah, we had the stuff. I'm like you. I wish I had something back when I was in high school wrestling, because the end of the year I was burnt out and I didn't understand why. I just thought, oh, it's just a funk, it's okay, it'll get better.
Yeah, and we handled it a lot differently back then. I would say we probably handled it. We probably were a lot more reckless.
No doubt.
I'm going to admit it for myself, being a country boy from Penn Yan, New York, Mustang Nation. I'm going to say that I was probably reckless and didn't know why, because what drove me was playing sports, and when you don't play sports, that's when the demons come in, and if you don't know how to handle the demons or know it or even recognize it, then you start doing reckless things. And and I did reckless things, and I probably still do, but not to the same extent. So all of my friends out there are listening. We're like, "Oh man, Mckinnon, we know you." I'll never be able to run for office, that's for sure. but I can admit it now. But over time, it is that mindset of understanding of who you are, and being a parent. We really have to understand who our children are, and not put that pressure on them.
It's for example, if you're taking your kid to the best clubs out there, whether football, softball, winter sports, whatever, any of them, they're working on their body with strength and conditioning. They're working on their nutrition. They're working on their skill set and seeing the game and all these pieces going into it. And the best analysis that I can put to it is you're building an Indy car. You're giving it the best tires. You're supercharging that motor. You're putting alcohol fuel in that thing, and it's giving you 800 to 1,000 horsepower. And you've got the mind of a 16-year-old at the wheel. What are you doing to teach him how to handle that kind of power? And teach him not only how to handle it, but how to use it effectively. How to hit a reset button and flip the script when, hey, okay, that play happened. Now let's get back for the next play.
Yeah.
You see the baseball players in there playing with their reset, and every time they're playing with their gloves before they step back in the box. If you like wrestling, like like we do, you watch Jordan Burroughs or Cal Dake, they play with their socks when they go out of bounds and the whistle blows. Russell Wilson, he has a reset ritual where he sits there and stops after every play. Before he turns around and gets in the huddle, he takes a breath and then turns back around. They stop what's going on so they can refocus and be present in that moment. Because when we're present there like that, and we can enjoy every moment of every day, you're enjoying those gifts God's giving you. And that's what it's all about. And when we can wipe all that other noise out for the kids and they can be present again, then they can accomplish anything.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's a game. And it's a game. And at some point, you're going to retire. Or force you to retire or never play again. But what are you going to do afterwards? you know, and that's really the thing is, and how do you control that? And you know, and here's one thing that I want to say is that how do we as parents, and I know you and your Heather with your organization, teach kids to accept failure?
Yes.
And it's okay to fail, but fail forward. But you guys teach kids how it's okay to teach, it's okay to fail. And unfortunately, on our time in our past, we didn't know how to fail. Winning was our only option, and success is our only option to a certain degree. But mentally, it's okay to fail. And you guys are helping kids understand that.
Yeah, that's one of our biggest pieces is, and I use fail as an acronym. And I'm not the first to get it. It's somebody that's taught to me. It's your first attempt in learning. And break it even down. It's your first attempt in learning today. So you go out there and you have a new opponent across from you, whether any sport or on even with a test in school, or you're going to go ask the beautiful girl out for the homecoming dance. It's a first attempt to learn how you can improve yourself. What did I do good? What can I improve? And at the end of the day, did I walk away with a smile on my face? If they can give themselves that feedback and critique everything they do, then they really are failing their way forward. If you shoot a rocket at the moon and you shoot for just the coordinates that the moon is right now, will that rocket ever get to the moon? No, it won't. It has to constantly recalibrate its trajectory all the way to the moon. Otherwise, it never gets there. And it's the same with us. If we're not recalibrating off of everything we do, off of every activity, if we're not flipping the movie that's going on, if we're not paying attention to our internal dialogue, if we're not calibrating ourselves to stay successful and stay focused on what we want, and not just what we want, but why we want it. Why are you out there competing? You know, are you there for the love that you have for it, is to get better? And when that's just the focus and that's your intention going forward, then you look at the mistakes, challenges, roadblocks as they come up as just opportunities to get better. And when we run into a wall, not if, but when, who's there to help you?
Yes.
You know, you can sit, if you keep running into that wall just over and over and over, Albert Einstein said it the best. That's just the definition of insanity, to do the same thing and expect a different result. And I'm sure if you hit it enough times, you may be able to knock it down or break it or something. But let's give you the tools to go through it faster.
Yes.
Let's give you the tools to climb the ladder over it, dig underneath of it, or give you the wrecking ball just to knock it out of there so it's gone for all the time and nobody else has to hit it too. And that's what these skills are for. And that's why I love the neurolinguistic programming piece, because we're getting into the programs that are running their mind and how they think. When you start unlocking those and you change those strategies that are driving their behaviors and their attitude, and they're back out there competing with a smile on their face again. And they feel good enough about themselves to talk to the coach. Hey, coach, I need you to do this for me so I can be better.
Yes.
When they can communicate and tell us what they need, those are big jumps, and those are exciting for the parents when we see them doing that. And I'm sure you guys can relate to that. But when I saw my son make those steps and just, when he flipped that switch and just blossomed, it was unreal. When the other kids we've worked with, and even when we work with the kids, we work with the families too, because everybody's got to grow, so they keep picking each other up. So when the next kid gets it, and you see him, oh, I had a bad day, but I did this. It's like, did you celebrate that? Because you used the skills and tools we taught you to get there faster. Instead of trying to claw back out like the cat climbing out of a bathtub, you went through it. You slid down there, you went with the roller coaster, and you used the momentum that everything was giving you to get out and propel yourself to more success.
Yeah. And that's wonderful. And listening to you, and we've had a guest on, and is a really good friend of mine is Jay Chase, and he runs a podcast called "Don't Touch My Mindset." But that's more focused on adults changing their mindsets, but you're changing the mindsets of youth. And you and Heather and your organization now you guys are working with high schools. You're working at the college levels. You're working with everybody.
Yeah.
This isn't just like a one-off thing. They call you up or stuff like this. Like schools can call you up and have you guys come in and run programs for all their athletes. Am I correct?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we're working with Lemoyne College, their swimming and diving team up in upstate New York, up by Syracuse. And coach has had us coming in. We're doing like 6 or 7 sessions with them and just kind of helping them just recalibrate through the season as they go on. You got more pressure on with classes, and then putting 2-a-day practices in there and getting everything they need. It is helping them recalibrate and adjust. We're working with Washington and Jefferson College here in Washington, PA. And same thing, we went in and helped the wrestling team, gave them, an individual session, and then we're working with a couple of the kids individually. Worked with a couple kids from Waynesburg University, and then there's several high schools here that we're working at with kids individually. And we've come in and talked to the coaches. We work with several of the clubs around here as well. What do you guys need? Where do you see the piece? How can we help you help yourselves?
Yeah, and you're not just limited into this area. Yeah, like I said, you are limited. You're able to go throughout all of the United States to bring this program in, to talk to high schoolers, to talk to the junior colleges, the smaller colleges who can't afford the psychologists and so forth like that. I mean, what you're doing is so admirable.
How does that work? How do you connect with everyone all over the country?
That was one of the greatest gifts of COVID was we all went virtual. And when we first started this, we kept going virtually using Zoom a lot to keep the tracings clean for all of our athletes. That way they didn't have to worry about who they were exposed to or how that went. So like 99% of our stuff is all online. We do it all virtually like this. Like with Lemoyne, they have 40 kids. So we go up, we do it virtually. They come into the big room there after practice, and we do like 45 to an hour-minute session. And at the end of it, we give them a huge guided visualization. They all get to sit there and like, oh, I'm kind of and they walk up like, yes, oh man, they feel great. And they love it. Washington and Jefferson, they're local enough. I've just gone close enough, but I've worked as far away with people in Australia and over into Saudi Arabia. So it's just about finding the right people that are willing to open their minds up. We work with kids as young as the youngest we've done is 10 years old, but I've worked with like my niece and nephews. They're 5 and 8, and they pick up on the skills and the things you're saying. They're like sponges. They just soak it in, and it's so much fun when they get it. And all the way up, I still work with my son. He's 21 now. He just turned 21. And I'm working with the senior here individually from W&J, Washington and Jefferson, excuse me.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to ask is like, because even though you're talking to a large group, you also, can say, hey, Mr. Boone, I'd like to talk to you privately. And,
yes.
And you can have that one-on-one and anonymity session with that individual, and which is great. And people really need to recognize that.
Yeah, and that's kind of the biggest piece we found with this is while we do the groups and we can cover a broad spectrum, we can put a big umbrella over everybody. Everybody's unique, and everybody's perception on what they're dealing with is unique. So everybody needs a customized approach so that you're giving them the exact way they need it. They're going to hear it, see it, and feel it differently than the next person will. And while one person, it may be like the Jumanji backpack that Kevin Hart wore, where he's got everything inside that thing.
Bad guy.
Yeah.
Backpack guy.
Yeah. You know, it may be like that for somebody, and somebody else, it might just be a little purse, a little fanny pack, like on in Central Intelligence or something. But it's
I got one of those too. So.
You know, everybody's unique. That's one of the greatest gifts of everything. Is they're unique, but when it's the same type of programs, and when you figure out how to move the programs for them, they make those big steps. And that's how they understand themselves. And they're like, I don't want to say that they go from thinking that there's something wrong with them, but they really go from thinking there's something wrong with them to being like, oh, wow, I'm just a human being and this is a normal program we run.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't want to cut you off, but I do have one question or a different perspective. I think I was listening and I'm like, how do I share or interject here? Because I come from a little bit of a different background. My lifestyle, or where I grew up, we didn't do a lot of of the sports, to be fully transparent. That being said, it's not that I didn't do sports. I came from a family that didn't do a lot, knows nothing about sports. Okay. So I'm thinking there's families out there that don't, they're probably have young children and have similar backgrounds to myself. Probably not the majority when you think about the American, culture, but in general, it was a big fear of mine thinking about my child going into sports and knowing everything you guys talked about today. The fear and the pressure. Obviously, there's no way when you have two teams or several players playing against each other that everyone can win. That's not reality. So, what is your advice to families, parents, children that are going and considering going into sports, to think about, what that is or what it is, how to be prepared for it? Or is there any form in your program that this can be valuable to someone that is thinking about getting their children into sports, and it being newer and the impact, and making sure that they're able to be, mentally strong and how to think through what this impact is going to be on their lives?
Yeah, that's a great question. And thank you for that, because that's a valid point. With the mindset of win, 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 we're always focused on the win, the gold trophy at the end of the day. That's what we all celebrate. That's what you see all over TV, right? It's that instant gratification, and everybody wants that. How many kids want to work through that, or even adults really want to work through that nitty gritty, get down in the dirt, and really earn the steps to go be that champion? How many people are out there willing to put in the hours that Kobe Bryant put in to be the success that he was? And when we dial it back to focus in on the process, the steps that it takes to get yourself to be great, to be the best that you can be, and not worry about being the standard that somebody else is. You learn how to compare yourself to yourself from yesterday. Did I get better than I was yesterday? Did I move forward? Even if I took 3 steps forward and I took 4 back, that's okay. I'm going to take a step forward tomorrow. You calibrate on, did I have fun? Am I grateful for what was given to me today? And all the kids keep a gratitude journal, 5 things at the end of the day. And the smaller they are, the better. Even if it's a scoop of ice cream with mom and dad after the game, that's still a great reward for doing the best you can do. And when they look at all the pieces that keep going together, that make the whole experience what it is, yeah, the win's important, but the person you become to be that winner is more important. It's the old adage of, what's more important, the journey or the goal that you set at the end? Because the person you become to get that goal sets you up to go get that next goal and the next goal. And when we focus on being the person for that journey, then I don't want to say the goal's not obsolete, but it's not as important. And when we take away the point of focusing on that end piece, that gold trophy they're going to get again, it kind of wipes out just all the pressure that goes there. And the kids can focus on being the best they can be today. And I know I look back and see the mistakes I made with my own kids. My younger son and is a better natural wrestler than my oldest son was. But he didn't like to do the work. So I let him do his own thing. He loves the sport. He loves to be a wrestler, but he doesn't want to put in all the extras. And as a parent, I had to step back and say, okay, I'm good with that. And let him or her be the best they can be. And, as parents, we don't like to hear that necessarily, but at the same time, when you turn around and you look at the vast majority of kids stop playing a sport before the age of 10 or 12 now because of the pressure getting put on them to be the best. If we just focus on developing the skills and let them grow through the sport as it is, 95% of the time, they catch those kids that excelled when they were back in their early ages. They just are on a different path to the same endpoint. And when they see that piece and they feel it in their heart that that's what they got to keep doing, they know that just keep stepping forward every day, whether an inch or a mile, that forward progress keeps adding up. And it's just like studying math. You can't walk in and do algebra when you're in first grade. Well, I'm sure some kids can. There are Sheldons out there. But,
I still
you know what I mean? But, you're not going to walk in and start advanced calculus right off the get. You got to start somewhere and get there. Take the baby steps and keep growing. And that's the message we need to teach them.
Yeah, and Rick, and you and Heather's not with us today, but I know we could probably talk about this conversation for hours and hours on end. And you and we've had conversations, and I haven't brought up names and so forth like that. But I know that, but I really wanted to get your message out there to people to find you and Heather and your organization, because this is really important to the younger generation. I say to myself, I look now as the years I go back to the high school to get my son, and I see individuals that I coached younger, and they no longer play sports, and I'm like, man, what happened between the time when I coached them to now? And I'll never know. And so that's always one of those life mysteries. And maybe this is the piece of the puzzle, that there was a roadblock that nobody ever picked up on. And so, because I'm like, man, that was a great athlete, but what did we miss? But that this is just not for athletes too. This is for regular students. This is for So I want to put that out there. I know we talked about athletes today, but this is across the board for any organization, any high school, any junior college, any major college, 2-year college, whatever it may be. This is for the everyday youth, student, person out there. I know we focused on athletes today, but that's not what your organization about. Your organization covers A through Z. So I definitely wanted to make sure that we got that out there. I mean, there's no stone that you and Heather are not unturning, and to have the conviction to leave your full-time jobs, and you were in the coal mines, and your wife left the medical field
Yeah.
to start this. And I just want to say, God bless you that you have, and thank you, because this is the first I've ever heard of anybody doing this on this level. And we really need to be more proactive than standing over a coffin and saying what went wrong. What signs did we miss? And I hate to be the negative guy to that, and we don't want to say that, but that could be the reality of it. And so, but what you and Heather are doing with your organization is absolutely phenomenal. And I am so excited to have you in my life now. I'm so excited to start off 2023 with such a positive message regarding mental health um, around youth. And that is where we started at. And where we started at, it will continue to grow. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been an honor and it's a blessing to get to take this journey. I know it opened my eyes as a parent to watch my kid go through that. And I know the parents out there, that are hearing this, it resonates with us. We've all seen it in some point or other, whether our kids in sports or just academically or socially. It's there. And if you're picking up on it, you're feeling something's off with your kid, you're right. Something's missing for them. And it's just getting them the skills to let them learn how to grow into the people they are. And yeah, as a parent that worked like I did in a coal mine, it is a blessing to come out and do this. And I'm thank God each and every day that I was chosen to kind of come here and do this. I have my days where I, kind of kick and scream like everybody else, but it's, it's worth it. So if anybody's looking for us, it's transcendentcoachingllc.com, or you can look me up on LinkedIn at Richard Boone, and we're happy to talk to anybody when you have a question. That's what this is all about for us. The more people we help, the more we make the world a better place, because our kids are our greatest legacy and our biggest resource.
Amen to that. And Tiffany, any closing?
I mean, you guys said it all so beautifully, but I just really quickly will say that ultimately it's the skills. I mean, first off, I can't imagine the decision that you made, both you and your wife, to like leave your jobs and do it. But I think if I think about you or myself being as a parent, there's nothing more important than your child, right? And so it was just the seed to lead you into the mission that you guys are doing today for so many youth. And the fact that, and what is so incredible and important is giving the kids the skills now to be successful in sports, or like you said, academically, or anything just in their youth, path and life. Ultimately, these are life skills that are going to impact them and be absolutely incredible to, whether they are, working at a, Fortune 500 company or a small business, or they want to be their own boss and build their own business, or whatever they want to do. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be doing that. You could be, doing 100 million other different jobs. You're giving them skills to be successful overall. And I think that's just incredible. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Said it great.
Yeah, and I enjoyed having this Saturday morning coffee with you, Rick. And I know that you and I are going to have many more conversations. And I really just want to put out there, everybody listening, all of our followers, please contact Rick and Heather and Transcendent Coaching. And man, it's a game changer. It's absolutely a game changer. And like I said, let's be proactive than reactive. And Rick and Heather, God bless you both. And may 2023 be a very prosperous year for you guys. And just keep touching people's lives and making a difference every single day. And I know that you are.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.